Guys, you should put some headphone on. If you want to understand Russian and English, and if you don't need them, don't put them on.
Okay.
Okay, we are here today with a wonderful team of Anora. First, we have Drew Daniels, who is the director of photography, le directeur de la photo. Then we have Karren Karagulian. I hope I don't mispronounce your name. Karren. Karren. Very good. Mr. Toros. Then we have Mark Eydelshteyn, who is Ivan. A very bad guy. Then we have Yura Borisov, who is Igor. And then we have Mikey Madison, who is Anora. And Vache Tovmasyan, who is Stanzik.
Garnick, yes.
And last but not least, Sean Baker, the director.
Oh. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
So my first question will be for you, Sean. Where does this incredible character came from?
Of Anora? Mm-hmm. The character?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. After we broke meaning the plot that broke the script. Sorry, this is like the first time I'm talking about the film, everybody, so bear with me. The first time when I got to the place of knowing that this film was about a young sex worker, what I normally do with all of my films is first meet with my consultants or choose consultants to come onto the film. In this case, Andrea Werhon, who's an amazing writer and has a book called Modern Horror, brought her on as our chief consultant. And started just exploring, character and what would make Anora and what would properly represent a young sex worker in New York City. But Mikey had so much to do with the development of Anora. I wrote the script for Mikey. When we first broke the idea, we actually had a meeting with Mikey and asked if she was interested. She said yes, and I said, okay, I'm going to write a script for you, with you in mind. I'll come back to you in 3 months. It took a year, but we were in touch that whole time, and as it was fleshing out, we were discussing the character, and so really, yeah, that's really how it began. Mikey really has so much to do with the development of it, so maybe perhaps you want to talk a little bit about it, about the character.
Yeah, Sean reached out to me, and I was very surprised that he wanted to work with me, very excited, and I had never had anyone write a character for me before, so I was in disbelief that it was happening, but just accepting it and very excited. But yeah, we kept in touch the whole time that he was writing and talked to each other a lot about the character and what we wanted to portray. And so it was very collaborative in that sense.
What about you, Drew? How did you work on the film? Because there are so many different sets. That must have been very difficult. Can you tell us a little about your work and the way you worked with Sean, whom you know from a long time?
Yes. Well, he actually brought me on very early, and we did early scouts in New York, which was amazing because our prep process is not quite normal, like usually you have like a very specific set time to prep the film. Usually it's like 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever. You're in an office and it's like, it feels like a desk job and it's miserable. I hate that. I'm a cinematographer. I didn't become one to sit in an office. So with Sean, you're out in the streets, you're scouting and scouting and scouting. When you're scouting, you're writing scenes for locations, you're adapting what the script is to what you're finding. You're being inspired by the people that you meet and the locations that you find. And really a lot of the sculpting of what the film will become happens while we're scouting and finding ideas, and it's very unconventional. It doesn't feel like a normal film. It feels like much more on the ground and exploratory, and there's a lot of that process of finding it while you're making it.
Very good. Please.
Hi, good morning. Maria Guerra, Quinótico, Spain. Well, congratulations. Thank you for this dark, complex movie. My question is for Mr. Baker. What I saw, the central idea is the unbreakable dignity of Anora. And I was wondering what was your central idea, the core, the concept, and also how did you balance that serious, terrible subject matter with the comedy? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. I like the way you worded that, the dignity and the strength of Anora, because I think I approached this film in terms of themes, not exact issues. I wanted this movie to explore different themes, and one of them is power, and levels of power, and power dynamics. And then also, yes, in terms of Anora, she has her power. She's aware of her power. She's in control, even when the world around her is coming down on her. And so, yeah, so it was really just about the exploration of strength and power. So thank you for seeing that. And then regarding the balance of comedy, I always think that humor is necessary in human stories because, hey, look, it's part of our lives. We all use humor to cope. We use humor to get by, and I can't stand when I see a film devoid of humor, or a story that's devoid of humor, because this is not real. And I guess the challenge is balancing that. When you want to tell a story that is ultimately tragic, how much do you infuse humor and where? And so that becomes, a real balancing act along the way that I really have to give all the credit to my wonderful actors who truly helped me find that balance. And then, ultimately it's in post-production as well. But again, I just feel that without humor, it's not real. And so.
Hi, thank you so much for this film. So I'm from French Chinese media Naiguan Film. So I have a question for Madame Mikey Madison. My question is, I find you are amazing in this film. So how did you prepare the particular Brooklyn accent you used for the film? Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I worked with a dialect coach first to just kind of create a base for the accent, and then I got to New York a little bit early so that I could be in that environment and also talk to women who are from a similar place and talk to dancers as well, so I could figure out the kind of cadence that a lot of young women talk with, also with that Brooklyn accent combined. So that was important to me. And also just to really be very confident in the accent so that we can feel free to improvise and not worry about that. So that was one of the things that I was most concerned about wanting to feel comfortable in.
And can I just add something? I'm from the tri-state area. I'm from Jersey originally. My name is Sean, not Sean. And I knew Mikey could do it, but it was that wonderful, that hearing her do the Brooklyn accent for the first time was like, oh my God, such a sigh of relief, and just knowing that she's nailing it. And I think she just nailed that New York accent. I love it.
So I have a question for the three actors, the trio of the film. I try to pronounce that correctly. Vache, Yuri, and Karren
Thank you.
Where did you find that incredible chemistry between the three of you? Because you're both threatening and hilarious.
Who are you asking the question?
The three of you. Hello.
Hi.
So
Yeah,
I'll
actually,
start, I
that's a
guess.
very
You wanna
good
start?
question. Yeah, because we are from totally different places. Because I grew up in Yerevan, Armenia. Karren Karagulian was living in New York for 35 years, and Yura is a big star from Moscow, and that was kind of actors with different background, but thanks to Sean, we were able. He created that synergy in between us, and it worked out really well. So yeah, that's happened.
Sir?
I always say one of the incredible things about this cast is, as Vache mentioned, we're like so different from different places, different acting backgrounds, different types of people. But every time we heard the word action, we melted together. And this was take after take. And for some reason, also we were like very, very friendly together when there was no action. So
Yeah.
it was a blast. I mean, thanks to, we were blessed to be with these talented people. So.
And you, Uri?
We just live together. Yeah, and it's my boss. He just say to me what I have to do, and I do.
That's not how I see it.
Hi, I'm Raúl Godínez from Sensacine Latam. First of all, I have the most fun watching your film. Congratulations. My question is for Sean and Drew. I was wondering if you could talk about a little bit about your process in writing. I believe that's a film that seems really chaotic, but it seems to be like you're in control of every scene. And how do you manage to, write chaos? And for Drew, how do you manage to shoot that? Especially on the living room scene when it seems like everything is going on, but you have everything covered. So I was wondering if you could both talk about it. Thank you very much.
Do you want to start?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Can I talk about the writing a little bit? And because it was all the same thing, because, you have to be able to adapt to change. And I think Sean's movies are so much about discovery that there was, sometimes we would get there in the morning and we'd have to completely refigure something out. And it was really fun. It kept it fresh. I think sometimes when you are making a film, you get really obsessed with certain ideas or really stuck on like images or what your expectation for the film is. And I think when you work with Sean, you have to be very open to discovery and adapting and changing. And the chaos factor, I love it. Some DPs I feel like probably hate it, but I feel like in every film, I try to even add a little chaos back into it because you over-prepare the thing, and you try to think of everything that could go wrong and every possible scenario. And I think with this film and with the films that I like to do, when there's a little bit of unpredictability and chaos, I think it translates to the screen. And I think with this film and that sequence that you're talking about, which was by far the hardest part of the film to shoot, and throughout the whole process, it was very hard. Even grading that part was hard because we shot it over many, many days. It was difficult, but we did have a plan. We knew what the blocking was very specifically, and we had the freedom to shoot it, and we wanted to shoot it in a way where it didn't feel like we weren't just shooting every angle. We shot it very specifically, almost so it could be edited very specifically from shot to shot. It felt like Hitchcock, or it felt like an action sequence when you shoot from one shot to the next shot to the next shot. So, we kind of he gives us the freedom to trust our instincts and come up with that stuff on the spot.
Regarding the home invasion is 28 minutes long, real time. And I didn't know it was going to be that. On the page, it's not all fleshed out. I mean, all the dialogue is fleshed out because it's exposition and we have to hit certain beats. But we really didn't truly know how it would look until we found our location, of course. And we have that living room, and we know how the couches are set up. And so that dictates a lot. So you can only have so much on the page, but you have to be in your location. And I'll never shoot on a set. You have to shoot in a real location. So we found this house, we found this beautiful mansion, and then it was about figuring out how to apply our script to that location. Yeah. And I should say regarding the chaos, no stunt. No stunt actors. What am I trying to say? No stunt men. They were doing their own stunts. All that is these guys. And so, I'm so impressed.
But I have to add about chaos. You should watch his other films. He's a master of shooting chaoses. We have much bigger chaoses in other films.
But talking about chaos, how Mark was it to be in the middle of that with a part with not very nice, not a very nice guy, let's say.
Yeah, Sean did amazing thing with me. I'm just, I'm not son of oligarchs, and unfortunately I have no jet, and unfortunately, yes. And Ivan, it's like another dark side of me, and I had never known about it, and Sean just opened it for me, and thank you, and now I like it, because it's interesting energy, you can do everything you want, and you have money, and it's a total freedom, and
so he created a monster.
Thank you, Sean.
But I have to say that monster was already there. Can I quickly just tell the story about how you came on the project?
Yes.
So I owe so much to Yura, because Yura was the one who suggested Mark for the role. We reached out to Mark. We had a Zoom call with Mark. We told him, okay, there is some sexual content, perhaps some nudity. He was like, oh, whatever. We gave him the page, the sides to read. He sent us back his video audition within an hour or two. Nude. Nude with a vape. Facing away from camera, so it was just his little butt. But I was like, okay, how can we not give the role to this guy? And the stuff that everybody brought was just so incredible, but these guys just truly embraced their characters, and to the point where I could trust them with giving me ideas. I wanted to hear their ideas. So, for an example, the flip on the bed in the very beginning that gets got a big laugh yesterday. Mark asked me if he could do it, and I said, yeah, sure. And we rehearsed it, but of course with his underwear on. And I was like, good, it's gonna work. When we rolled the camera, the underwear was off, and it was like, oh my God.
It was my second shooting day, and they didn't know how to work with Sean Baker, and that's, I just tried to do it. Yeah, and after this, I realized that, it's absolutely freedom here. We can do everything you want. Yeah.
Good morning. My name is Chiara Ugolini. I'm from Rome, Italy. My question is for Sean Baker. Even if they are two totally different movies, it's impossible while watching your movie don't think about a romantic comedy cult like Pretty Woman because of the proposal Vanya does. So I would like to ask you if you had this movie in your mind somehow, and how did you work to be so totally different and from that movie? Thank you.
Thank you. No, interestingly enough, it wasn't until hindsight that I looked back. I was halfway through my edit that somebody actually called out the fact that it has similarities to Pretty Woman. I grew up in the 80s. I think that probably Pretty Woman had an effect on me. I was, I think that's, or maybe it was a subconscious influence. I'm not sure. But it was important for me to keep this based, even though I was going for using tropes of romantic comedies and stuff, it was ultimately, important for me then ground it in a true reality. Yeah, that I don't think Hollywood would exactly tackle. Yeah.
Greetings and salutations, Mr. Baker and the whole team. Thank you for such a brilliant film. I was very impressed how you managed to write such sincere, kind, and deep Russian and Armenian characters while you're as an American filmmaker. So, okay, of course, you worked very close with the whole team to do so. But can you tell us how you, found so many details that actually only native speakers can understand? And so can you tell us about your sources of inspiration? And of course, my Russian and Armenian friends can add whatever you want to add.
Yeah, well, I'll let these guys talk about that, but just briefly, this whole project really stemmed from Karren and I, going back, 15, 20 years, wanting to make a film about the Russian community in the Brighton Beach, Coney Island area. So we've been discussing this for quite a long time, and Karren has ties to the community. So really relying on him and relying on, again, as my actors came on board to make sure that we were being, that the dialogue was flowing, that the jokes were working, the slang was there. We had an amazing Russian consultant on the film, Albert Rudtinsky, and he's amazing. He was our script supervisor as well. So there was always, we started with a, full-length screenplay in English, and all of the Russian and Armenian had to be translated. So Albert did the Russian translation, Karren was involved, and Vache was involved with the Armenian translation. But it was always I always had to make sure, are we hitting the right beats? How is this inflection? Sometimes I would have to actually line read in English, and they would understand what I was looking for in that and help me achieve it. But maybe you guys can talk more about. And then on top of that, I'm sorry, one more thing. And then we had a sound mixer who is fluent in Russian, and so there was always there were so many people around me who were keeping me in check and telling me whether or not scenes were working or not. And then of course my actors are native speaking, and so they would tell me whether it would work or not, and I always trusted them. They understood my sensibility from seeing my other films and what I was looking for. So they knew I was looking for just like raw New York attitude, and they gave it to me in Russian and Armenian. Is that right, guys? I don't know.
Yeah. So we've been talking about a Brighton Beach movie for since 2009. And we had other ideas, then it revolved, so it's been in his head for 15 years. And if you have seen Sean's other films, you know how sincere he is to authenticity. So everything that was chosen, everything was, planned, was to detail. And of course, we all helped as much as we could. But put that aside, his sensibility about humor, like for example, I would say something in Russian or Armenian, a joke, and he laughs, and he doesn't understand, but he laughs. So he's able to kind of, it's been in him always. If you see his other films, it's also about backgrounds that he knows nothing about, but that's why I love this guy.
I have a question for Sean. Hi, Sean. Thank you for an amazing film. You mentioned power in the first question, and I was wondering, if there is a specific reason why for all your recent films the characters are all sex workers, or is it all by coincidence? Thank you.
Yeah, regarding, I guess, the last 5 films I've made around sex workers. Honestly, I didn't know it would go this direction. It was an organic thing. It came, I think, mostly from my research, I made a film called Starlet 5 films back, in which I kind of was introduced to the adult film world. That put me in touch with many sex workers. I stayed in touch with them, became friends with them. But what I realized was that, number one, there's a million stories to be told in that world. And secondly, as I got closer to them and heard their stories, it became, if there is one intention with all of these films, I would say it's by telling human stories, by telling stories that I hopefully are universal, meaning that anybody in the world can identify with our lead characters, at least on an emotional level, it's helping remove the stigma that's applied to this livelihood, that's always been applied to this livelihood, and one that I think is quite unfair. So I don't know if it'll continue, but we've already been talking about the next one, and it involves a sex worker. So let's see what happens. Yeah.
So I'd like Mickey to tell us a little about the character. How did you approach her? And who is Anora for you? Is she an heroine? She's so dignified and so strong. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, Annie is someone who feels very far away from who I am, but I really liked that because it meant I could really completely create a character that's completely different from me in terms of physicality and voice and attitude. And so I had a long time to think about the character, a year from meeting Sean. And even whilst I was doing other projects, I was still thinking about this character every single day. And so I read lots of books by sex workers, documentaries, and we mentioned Andrea Werhoon, who was a consultant, and her book, her memoir, Modern Whore, I felt that her and Annie would be friends and that to me, I felt I pulled a lot from her as a person and her experiences. And then also, when I got to New York, speaking to other women that live similar lives as Annie, like Luna, who is wonderful, wonderful in the film. And she was really generous with her time, just telling me stories about her life and her experience. So that was things I pulled from as well. Yeah, but I think I also it was important to me that to make Annie very hopeful. So, yeah.
It's Yannis Rouzeos from Greece. Thank you for the beautiful film. I really admire your works, Mr. Baker. I would definitely like to hear about your opinion about the film. Is it somehow a sarcastic approach to a Cinderella story inside wild capitalism? This spectacular complex of contradiction, of buying and sharing that exists in all kinds of relations inside the extreme capitalism of our days. And secondly, Mr. Eydelshteyn and Miss Madison, I would definitely like to know if romanticism in your approach of your characters somehow still exists in this context of extreme capitalism. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Extreme capitalism.
Yeah, well, it's a very
difficult question.
Yeah. Do you guys want to start on your question? No. I would say one thing. If you're watching the film, look at the scenes in which the sex is transactional and where it's not. And that's an important thing that I was trying to point out. Again, I try to keep my films in a place where they can be interpreted in many different ways. Always my endings. I never want to talk specifically about my opinion on them because of the fact that that would be boring. That would be preaching. And but I do, I think it's important to explore what sex work is right now in the modern age and how and how it applies, yes, to in a capitalist society. Because it's a livelihood, it's a career, it's a job, and that should be respected, And yet at the same time, in my opinion, and I'm speaking for myself, decriminalized, and and not in any way regulated, because it is a sex worker's body, and it is up to them to decide how they will use it in their livelihood. So, hope I answered that question. I don't know what your question.
You should repeat the question,
Would
probably.
you mind repeating the question, please?
Romanticism and capitalism in your relationship. Romanticism in these great contradictions.
I don't really understand it.
It's very interesting question, but we don't know what can we say about it. Sorry.
Romanticism is the same in any society. What's the difference between if it's in capitalism or socialism? That's the difficult part of answering your question. No?
Thank you, dude.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Ana from Spoiler Time, Mexico. Something that I find so special about your films is how you write these very unique and peculiar characters. And in this case, as you say, you wrote the script for Miss Madison, which I think I can speak on behalf of many people. We are very grateful about that. And I mean, you also work with a lot of very experienced actors, and you also work with non-actors. So my question is, how do you find them? How do you manage to find people who are so perfect for their roles, which includes everyone in this table? Thank you.
Yeah, I absolutely love this cast. I'm so proud of it. I'm so proud. My proudest casting, my proudest credit on the film is casting, quite honestly. But if I went into how every single person came on to this film, we'd be here all day. But as you might know from my other films, I like to mix it with, experienced and seasoned actors, and sometimes first-timers, or sometimes people who have no aspiration of acting, and I just find on the street. In this case, it was a little different. This is primarily, seasoned, experienced actors. All of my leads are here, and it was a really nice experience, to tell you the truth. It was incredible, because of just their incredible talent and what they would be bringing to the table every single day. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Marc Garriga from Catalonia Radio in Barcelona. Excuse me, I can't stand up. Yesterday, filmmaker Ali Abbasi reminded us that Kurt Vonnegut said that in America there are two kinds of people, winners and losers. I wonder if you, Sean, agree with that, and if you agree, is your cinema a way to portray losers as if they are winners in some way? Thank you.
I don't like to call anybody a loser, I think that everybody has dreams, everybody has aspirations, and there are people who are unfortunately put in a economic level that they can't control, but it doesn't mean we should judge them that way. I think that look at what's happening in the U.S. right now. It's probably what's happening in many parts of the world, in which our middle class is gone, and we have people who are barely scraping by every day, and then we have the billionaires. And I think that's how can you not want to explore that?
There are wonderful sex scenes in the movie. Where they are to shoot for you two, and for you, Sean, how did you approach them?
Sure. Just really briefly, as you can probably see with my other films as well, these aren't really sex scenes. They're more sex shots. So they're very choreographed. They're very blocked, and very much. I am obviously working with my actors very closely in the choreography and the development as well, to make sure that each sex scene sex shot is necessary and moving the plot forward and different, and has the range of emotions in there, from perhaps eroticism, but mostly funny. I always look for humor in all of those moments, and these guys delivered. So I'll let you guys talk about it.
Yeah, we spoke about the sex scenes a lot because in the script it would say they have sex, and so we're like, okay, well, what would that look like? And so we would talk about different positions, and Samantha Kwan and Sean would like demonstrate before what they would want it to look like. So this position or that position, and
She's my producer and wife.
And so Mark and I would look at them and be like, okay, yes, we'll do that. And then we would shoot it. And those scenes were fun to shoot. And all of the lap dance scenes were very fun to shoot as well. Yeah, because the environment on set, I think, was just very comfortable. And after a little bit, I think I was almost too comfortable in those situations, especially walking around the club. Like, all the women are naked, and I was too, and it was completely normal. Like, I think that for Annie, her nudity is also a costume in some ways, and so to me, it was comfortable.
Yeah, and I want to add Mikey. She's a huge professional, and I'm very grateful to Mikey because you know, it's usually you have to ask, can I do like this or can I do like this? And Mikey, you know, at our first day, she said, you can do everything that Sean will said. You can do everything. Yeah, you can do it. And it was like, okay. And then it was like, not sex shots, it's love shots. You know, it's a concentration of love, of atmosphere of our set. It's like, oh, okay, one more sex scene. Yeah, it's amazing. It's not like sex scene. Yeah, it's just our regular day. Yeah, great. Yeah, okay, we can do it. Yeah, and yeah, thank you guys for this experience.
So you had no intimacy coordinator? You did all yourself?
We did not. No,
Okay.
I think that with intimacy coordination, it's a case-by-case basis, a film-by-film basis. And if an actor requests one, of course, 100%. And I support that, and I think it actually is very important. But I have directed approximately 10 sex scenes throughout my career. I'm very comfortable doing so. So if my actors are okay with it, we collaborate and we work together. Again, my wonderful producer and wife, Samantha Kwan, is very much involved. And it's as a producer, along with Samantha and Alex Coco, it is our #1 priority to keep our actors safe, protected, comfortable, and involved in the process.
Yeah, and I also want to mention that I was given a choice if I wanted to bring in an intimacy coordinator or if I just wanted to work hand in hand with Sean and Sammy. And to me, because I had already created a really comfortable relationship with both of them for about a year, I thought that that would be what I was most comfortable with. And it ended up working so perfectly. And there was never a moment where I felt anything other than like completely free in those scenes. Also, I think because my character is in control of a lot of the sex scenes and lap dance scenes, she's the one who is guiding those interactions. And so to me, I felt very like strong that I'm comfortable to do that. Yeah.
There are sex scenes, but there are also a very violent scene and funny too when you tied her up. And how did you work on that? Because was it more difficult for you, violence than sex, or was it the same as an actress?
I think that it was similar, kind of, but yeah, it was important to me that I do all the stunts myself and that there's no body double, no stand-in for me, because I wanted you to see my face. And when Yura and I didn't know each other very well, but he was like, no, I want you to actually hit me in the face. And I was like, okay, this is amazing. I love this. And so we were really fighting each other, and Yura is incredibly strong. So I was fighting with all of my strength, and he was still holding me. So it was very exhausting to shoot, very fun, and yeah, I don't know if I'll ever have an experience like that again. But also, Lindsay, who plays Diamond in the film, her and I get into a brawl, and that was the craziest thing I've ever experienced in my life, because we're literally, I remember on set, Sean was like, okay, so you punch her, and then you grab each other and knock this lamp over, or roll over this table, fall on the ground here, okay, go. And Lindsay and I looked at each other and we were like, all right, let's do this. And we did, and it was crazy. My legs were like jello at the end of it. Yura was literally like dragging me away with my whole body weight. It was very interesting.
We had a stunt coordinator on board, but I think he advised, and he was just so impressed by Mikey, Yura, Lindsay, that he was just like, okay, I'm going to watch them and monitor them, but let them do it. And yeah, they gave me gold.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. And that's wonderful film. Merci beaucoup d'être venu.